So much to talk about with you, Kevin Burkhardt. Let's just jump right into it. When you sat down with Brock Purdy over the last 2 games for him, walk me through what it's like to sit down with this kid before the biggest games of his life?
You know, I was listening to your monologue, and we've had this conversation over dinner, our whole group. I think Brock's great. I love him. And I think the cool thing for him is, coming in last year, obviously was an amazing story, what he did, and then he gets hurt. And, he's just trying to survive in a way, really, right? He even said, like, oh, my gosh, there's Deebo Samuel, there's Christian McCaffrey. This year, he's got a little swag to him this year. And he's his personality has come out more, like when we meet with him in the production meetings. And I just think he's a nice guy. It's to your point. I don't know how you don't root for him. Here he is, the last pick of the draft. He's gone through all this stuff, tears up his arm, comes back way before anyone thought he'd ever be back. And it's just been sensational. I think he's great. We had him, obviously, both playoff games. And, he's just so open and honest. He talked about the loss to Baltimore and how, in a way, it made him not as aggressive because then he was worried about.
Oh, he was seeing ghosts that night.
Yeah. And he talked about it. He said it's something that he said, you know what, I finally got the last drive in the Green Bay game. I said, enough of this. I'm just going to let it rip. And obviously he takes him on the game-winning drive. And then it was very similar against Detroit. I don't understand how you don't laud that performance against the Lions. He was so great in the second half of that game with his legs, with his arms. I just think he's real. Bottom line is he's real. His personality came out this year. He's just really easy to root for.
And he is, and I guess the pushback for people who are critical of him wouldn't say it's personal. They just see a quarterback who is limited compared to somebody like Mahomes and Lamar, and go down the list of people who can beat you with their arms and legs. And yet, how many times did he? I think 3 times in that NFC Championship game he ran for first downs and got them in the red zone 2 out of the 3
Big
times.
My thing about the 49ers is this. Who do people want to have the credit? Because
great question.
They're okay, Kyle Shanahan doesn't win Coaches of the Year. Well, they're expected to win. They've got a ton of talent. So he doesn't get the credit or enough credit. Then if you talk about Purdy, well, he's playing for Kyle Shanahan, and the offense is so good. Anyone could run the offense. Well, really? Well, not everyone can. C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullins weren't able to do it, right? Jimmy Garoppolo did, and now Brock Purdy's been able to do it. So who does get the credit?
You can keep going. McCaffrey, right?
For sure.
Because McCaffrey gets the credit, but on his own team may not even be the MVP. Purdy does get the MVP vote as well. And Deebo, right? Do you give him credit? Is he the one? I mean, where do we land here?
I think they're just good. And I think Kyle is an incredible coach, and he makes it all go. And that's why he's got his own tree across the NFL right now. I mean, a third of the league is kind of around him in a way. But I don't understand where people want the credit to go to. I don't know what they're watching. That's the bottom line. And I'm with you. I can't quite figure out the reason why. I'm not sure, because there's so many likable things about him. There's so many big-time plays about him. I think Kurt Warner comparison in that situation is fair. I think the situation is a little bit similar. I know there's always the Breeze comparison because he's not a big guy and his processing, but I go back to the Packers game. Last drive, and he even said he didn't have his best game. Last drive, that throw he made to Juwan Jennings, literally over 2 guys, and dropped it in the perfect window where Jennings would have to catch it. And then that throw to Chris Conley on the deep out for a guy that doesn't have arm strength, who hit Chris Conley caught 2 balls the entire year, perfectly gets him going. I mean, you can't make 2 better throws than that in the biggest time of the game. So, yeah, it's just a funny deal with them. I don't get it.
That was after a highly uncharacteristic drop by Kittle, which could rattle somebody like Purdy, you would think. And then he just hit that back leg and just made 2 great throws. And you mentioned Warner. I had one more stat right here, too. Purdy can join Warner as the only quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl within their first 5 career seasons when you're drafted 7th round or later.
Wow.
That's, I mean, he's in the realm of a magic carpet ride right here, and it really is remarkable.
He's won 4 playoff games already.
That's true.
Guys go their entire careers and don't win 4 playoff games.
And then you saw the other quarterback, if you will, in the Super Bowl in last year's Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and you saw what he can do as well. When you chatted with Mahomes before the Super Bowl last year, what is that conversation like with Patrick Mahomes before the Super Bowl?
I think
Kevin.
The cool thing about Mahomes, and, you know, we've had them enough. Obviously, we don't have them as much as CBS does, but we've had the Chiefs plenty.
Yes.
He's the same every single time. He's just this really fun, cool cat, doesn't seem to get bothered by anything. I think really enjoys the moment. You kind of saw that at the media night last night. He's kind of enjoying getting taunted by the 49ers fans and having a little fun with it. He just is really cool. And I think that's how he is every day. I've never met with him where it hasn't been Patrick Mahomes, the same guy. Fun. You could joke around with him a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, he gives you a little feel, a little sense for how the team is and what he's feeling and what they're doing and what he's, you know, concerned isn't the right word, but thinking about in the matchup. You know, and he had that quote talking about, I'm just going to go back to my Super Bowl routine. Guy's 20 years old. He's been in the Super Bowl a million times already. It's just so it's normalcy for him, which is wild to me.
Yeah, I mean, his Super Bowl routine, that one did make me sort of chuckle when I heard that because it's legit. Like he's got this thing already down pat, and he's not even 28. Or he is 28 and he's not 29. It really is unbelievable. So, okay, what do you think Super Bowl 58 comes down to when it all comes down?
I think there's a couple things. I think from the Chiefs having the ball side of things, look, they're obviously Mahomes is incredible. We know that. 49ers have had an issue stopping the run, and they've been exploited the last two games. And it's because they're so aggressive the way they go up the field. And I think Isaiah Pacheco is going to be a focal point, right? I mean, and they've kind of gotten more towards that, like in these playoffs and more condensed formations and running the ball and two tight ends and that type of thing. And that's been the thing for the 49ers. You know, it's a minor thing. People don't really pay attention, but a guy like Cleveland Ferrell, who got hurt for them, who is an excellent edge run setter, they've missed him in the playoffs because both Green Bay and Detroit have kind of gassed them with these different run styles. So I think that's going to be an issue for them. I think they're going to have to do that. And then obviously you're going to have to figure out a way to get to Mahomes, right? You think about when he lost to the Bucs, it was the pass rush, and it still almost didn't do him in, but they've got to get home. The Niners send four guys. They don't blitz very often at all. They haven't been able to get home all that often with four guys the last month and a half of the season. So I think that is going to be critical for them. From a 49er standpoint, I think the fascinating thing is we know McCaffrey, Debo, great. I just think it's Kyle Shanahan's confidence in Brock. And he'll go back there and shotgun and let him throw the ball all game if he feels like that's the way to win. And that Packers game is a perfect example, Rich, because he did not play particularly great in that game, but Kyle stuck with him and he kept throwing the football. And I think in years past, he would have never done that. You know, I mean, you go back to the championship game against the Niners when Mostert ran for 300 yards, Jimmy G threw the ball 8 times. He's not doing that with Brock Purdy. So I think the game, as great as all their weapons are, I think the game's going to be on Brock Purdy's shoulders, and I think he'll be up to it.
Well, I mean, he certainly has in the playoffs so far. And then the fourth quarter, I'm not going on a very thick, very thin limb here when I'm saying the fourth quarter is going to be the moment. But it is for Kyle. Where
sure.
Is the OC in Atlanta? 0 points in the fourth quarter. As the HC with the Niners, when these two teams played 4 Super Bowls ago, 0 points in the fourth quarter. And I'm just wondering if, in the same way that Purdy was like, screw it, I'm sitting here against Green Bay, like, I got nothing to lose other than everything, so I'm just going to let it rip. I'm just wondering if Kyle will do that too. Like dialing it up and just
I think it's a big part of it.
Going against type.
I think it's a big part of it. And that's why I think they're in better position this Super Bowl than maybe they were the last one. I don't know that they're a better team overall. They're loaded. 49ers, that is. But the last 2 weeks were big for them, especially that Green Bay game. We all saw the stats. They were, 0-30 when, they were trailing by, was it 4 points or 5 points going into the fourth quarter? That's hard to believe, considering all the success that Kyle Shanahan has. When we talked to Kyle that week, he's like, we've never won a game like that here. Never. He's like, not even close. All of our games are the same. We blow people out, or it's the same script. He's like, it was big. He was not overselling it. It was not hyperbole. It was a big deal. And then they did it again. So they do in the divisional last minute, and then
Even bigger
they're down
comeback.
17, even bigger. They look listless at times. Same thing. So they go from a team that had no ability to do that to then the coach saying, "Okay, kid, drop back, going to put it on your shoulders," and he does it. I don't think you can overhype how big that is for them as a team. They had never won any games like that ever, and now they've won back-to-back games like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Certainly in the fourth quarter when they were trailing Green Bay going to the fourth quarter, and you pop up that stat that they've never come back from
crazy.
This large of a deficit in the fourth quarter. They did. And then they had an even bigger deficit at halftime of the NFC Championship. You and Olsen must have looked at each other when that thing was all Lions, just looked at each other going, what the heck is happening in this game, you know?
It was, I mean, we did, you know, we kind of thought it would be a fun game. Greg like hit it. He's like first team to 30, kind of felt shootout, but the way that was going, we're like, they're doing what they want. 49ers can't get anything going. Like
Right.
it was surprising. It was surprising. You know, and then you get to just catch a 50-yard ball off somebody's face and the whole momentum changes of the game, right? That's what it is. That Ayuk catch was wild.
Kevin Burkhardt, the lead voice of the NFL on Fox, and you're going to be the host on Thursday night for the Legends for Charity Dinner in honor of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, raising as much money as possible. Tony Romo's getting the Pat Summerall Award. And it's pretty cool because you currently occupy Pat's seat, right? And in the booth for Fox.
Yeah, it means a lot to me, too. You know, I met Cherry, Pat's wife, a few years ago, and it was just like so special for me because, you know, as a kid, you know, growing up in New Jersey, like Sundays, we just loved football, right? Like as a little kid, we go to church, we go to the deli, we get, you know, cold cuts, the whole situation.
Yes.
And then we go and watch football. So like Pat and John, like I always wanted to do the NFL because of them. And Pat's voice, it just felt so big, and I just revered him. So it's pretty awesome. I don't take that lightly.
It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. It's funny, like even getting into this, like I am not saying that, you know, I'm trying to be Pat because no one could be him. But I always think of like situations that come up, like how would Summerall handle this? Or like, especially when I was getting started, like what would he do or what would he say? Or I don't know, like just different things. Like he's a big inspiration. He was.
Well, a few things. First of all, I think the same thing when I'm at the mic calling some of these games on NFL Network internationally. More Summerall is all I keep thinking of myself in my head, which means say nothing.
Shut up.
Yeah,
so
I
true.
mean, don't say too much. Sometimes it's like touchdown. That suffices, you know, and that's Summerall. And I'm the same way as you growing up, where football meant a lot. No church, a lot of deli. That's me. But I do remember, though, watching Summerall and Brookshire on CBS do a lot of those Cowboys games where the offensive lineman would stand up and then get down.
Landry.
Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that was my upbringing as well. And so, yeah, when you're at an event where the award given out is the Summerall Award, and obviously the charity is for St. Jude, and this is pretty big, man. It's pretty cool.
I'm excited, you know, and I'm so lucky to follow in your footsteps, all the great work you've done for St. Jude. And, you know, when they asked me, it's obviously an honor. It's a great thing. And it hits a little home, too, because it was my late mother-in-law's favorite charity. She battled cancer for over 20 years, multiple kinds, and she just loved St. Jude. So, you know, pretty cool for us as a family for me to be able to host the dinner. And yeah, for the Pat Summerall Award, there's a lot of good symmetry for me. So it means a lot to me personally.
That's Thursday night in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've got Kevin Burkhardt here on the program. And listen, I enjoy the games, and I think you and Olsen are phenomenal together. Now, I've had these conversations on live TV and radio when I'm asked about decisions my bosses are going to make, and it's not your choice, right? I mean, you are calling these games, but obviously it looks like Greg's out and Tom Brady is going to be in, and Brady is Brady. There's no question about it. What can you reveal about your rehearsals? You've done some games with Brady off air?
Hey, we've had a couple.
Okay.
You know, I mean, the bulk of the work is going to be now, right? Now that, you know, because it's kind of hard. I mean, as you know, Rich, like you're in the middle of the season, you're bouncing all over the place, all over the country. And so, you know, we've obviously talked and about different things, and we've had a couple rehearsals to kind of get going, which has been great. And as you well know, because I know I take a lot of pride in this, as I know you do, right? Because I do studio and play-by-play. I love doing both. But I think the one thing that's the same is that you have to have the relationships for it to work. Now, I'm not saying you have to be best friends and best man in somebody's wedding for it to work, but you have to have a friendship, a relationship, a trust, all of that in both avenues. Otherwise, it just doesn't fly. Like, when I'm doing the MLB stuff with all of our guys, I'm sitting with Hall of Fame legend players.
Yes.
Just like you are on game day, and they let me rip them and bust it. Who am I? But they don't, but it's because there's a relationship there. And so the same thing when you're in the booth, it's just building the trust where, Greg knows that I'm going to do this for him. And then I know, it's that back and forth. So I think of all the things, we've had a couple of rehearsals. It's been fun. And now it's going to be about just spending time together and, working on the craft, but also just getting to know, I know Tom, the football player. Mm-hmm. But getting to know what makes him tick off the field, I think is going to be important for us.
Well, twist your arm, right?
Tough. Listen,
it's literally, it's what everybody would want to do is you've got to spend time with Tom Brady.
It's just like what I thought when I was roaming the playground at Franklin School in Bloomfield, New Jersey. Like, oh, you're going to hang out with Tom Brady and Jeter and sure, that'll happen at some point. So it doesn't make any sense, Rich, but I'll take it.
So I set it up this way because I know if you're going to talk about Brady, this is nothing against Greg. You know what I'm saying? He's phenomenal at this and has a humongous career at Fox or wherever he's going to call these games. So that's my long-winded setup.
Listen, Greg and I are as tight as can be. I've known him forever.
He's just a phenomenal human and whatever.
Great.
But what does Brady sound like calling a game? I mean, can you tell me what it sounds like?
I think it's going to be fascinating because of obviously who he is and what he knows, right? So in the couple of rehearsals, again, we're just hitting the ground running. He just had a couple things that he said, and we're like, oh, that was really interesting. Mm-hmm. Oh, that so it's like so I think the more we do it, and the more that he finds his voice, and just start, I think a lot of this, when you work with all-time great players, I think it's sometimes like the common stuff for them, they don't think it's interesting. Where maybe you and I are like, oh my gosh, that's so fascinating. Right? Like, I've been out to dinners like you have, and like, wait, tell me, what do you mean by that? Yes. And it's so interesting. So it's almost making them realize like that is awesome to everyone at home. Maybe to you it's common, but not to me. Or
no question.
Right.
And you have to, and in your role is to tell somebody, with 7 Super Bowl rings and all these accomplishments, what you think is just matter of fact is exactly the sort of stuff that you need to say.
For sure.
And you must say it. And you must say it with a certain, energy as well, that it has to come across. And some people can get it just like that, including, Greg, and who's the individual getting the Summerall Award on Thursday Night Romo,
sure.
where it just, it turns on. And I think, just in terms of Tom's experiences, how many people can put on a microphone, go into a game, and bring into the experience of being a 6th round draft choice, being overlooked, having an opportunity placed directly in front of you and making the most of it, then going on a ride that nobody sees coming, then take that opportunity, turn it into 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, then have a 10-year drought of winning it, then becoming a 40-year-old and having the greatest career that anybody's ever had, but you're also 40, and you're thinking about your own football mortality, and you're also switching teams. You become a free agent. I mean, all in one human being. That is an unbelievable wealth of experiences somebody can bring into the booth.
It's a lot to draw from, and there's a lot to relate to, and I just... I'm going to be interested to see how he sees it in real time, because that's the one thing that we've never seen is, okay, like, talk to him pregame, postgame, spend a lot of time in obviously production meetings with him, but how does he see it in real time as it's happening? That's going to be fascinating.
And being critical of stuff.
Well, that's obviously a big part of it, right? That's obviously a big part of it. Like I said, it's been so interesting for me, this past year, getting to know and work with Derek Jeter. It was the same thing. Like, people, obviously, he's one of the biggest superstars on the planet. Mm-hmm. But Derek was so good in New York, as you know, about just, not saying anything,
shutting it down.
He was perfect. He knew how to do it. And getting to know him, like I was fortunate enough to do, and just the things that he would say and the stories he would tell, I was like, tell me more. Tell me more. Sure. And it was just it's that part is the coolest thing of what we do.
Yeah. Like being coached by Belichick, being able to tell these stories, and it's. But
that's the other thing is I'm sure you've experienced this too. Is like everyone that I've ever worked with, that I've been lucky enough to be next to in this job. Mm-hmm. They all want to be coached. So it's not like you would think like, oh my gosh, you don't want to step on toes, right? You're next to these all-time great players, but they want to be told how to be better. They want to like help me get better type thing. And that's to me like the coolest part is just, they want the help. They want to get better. So tell me how to do it. I love that.
Well, and then the way to help him get better is just to hang. Just let's hang out.
Absolutely. Yeah, rough. I know.
You want to be in on this meeting, hanging with Tom Brady thing?
Yeah, I'll just get coffee. I'll just get snacks, whatever you need.
Yeah, that's what he wants.
Yeah. I've had my
coffee. He's a great coffee and snacks guy.
Fine, because we're good. I've had my Boston friends being like, seriously, Ortiz and now Brady. Like, what do you do? Like, you're killing me. I was like,
right.
I didn't.
Copy.
Hey,
right.
He's a gem. It's great. Yeah, it's been fun.
Garnett, who's next? Yes, who would be next?
Garnett.
Who's next? What do you got?
That KG Pierce run.
Who's next?
Let's see.
I don't know if they're going to be on the Fox College basketball set. We don't have NBA, so that might be tough.
Not yet. You never know.
Right. It's fair.
Who the heck knows?
In this day.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's. Yeah. I mean, I'm keen to see what you guys look like and sound like and we'll get that week one, I imagine, right?
Yeah, I guess we'll find out, Rich. It'll be week one. I don't know exactly what it'll lead up till then, but we'll be in the lab for sure.
Maybe it'll be in Brazil. Who knows? Maybe you get that game.
Who has that game?
Nobody
I don't even
knows.
Know. It's like
that just got announced yesterday that it's going to be the Friday of kickoff.
I saw that, but no one knows who has it.
Nope.
So we go into a lottery wheel and like, ta-da!
I don't know. I don't know. If you see Murdoch strolling around Vegas, maybe you're going to get it. I have no idea.
I don't think I'm going to see him strolling around.
At the nickel slots.
That's not the guy like
Rupert's at the nickel slots.
Is that him over at the blackjack table? I don't think that's going to happen.
That would be amazing.
So in the couple minutes I have left, you want to take a crack at who wins, or you want to stay away from that because you call these games? Or
I'm not really. I'm never really good with predictions.
You don't usually put this hat on.
I don't put this hat on. I don't get asked to put it on. That's why I sit with a host of experts. It's so hard to pick against Mahomes. But I think there's also there is the unfinished business for the 49ers and the Shanahan. They've been here so many times before. And I'm not a betting person, but the line's weird to me. The line's weird to me. It's almost like
the same thing.
It's almost like it's begging the world to pick the Chiefs. And I just think Brock Purdy's up to the task. I'll just leave it at that.
KB with a
okay.
pick. All
right. So who have we gotten so far? We got
Chris Long is taking the Chiefs.
Van Pelt says he's taking the Niners,
but he doesn't like it.
He doesn't like. He
taking them, but doesn't like it.
No, because of the line. Yeah. The same thing.
The line's weird.
But everyone's taking. You're going to see everyone's going to take KC this week. Can't bet against Mahomes.
Well, Stone Street took Kansas City, but
that's a shocker.
Yeah, I know.
Totally.
Shocking.
We caught him on a good day. All right.
Yeah.
That's I won't ask Nance that question, but
that's tough when you're calling the game to say at least like
everyone thinks you're rooting against their team anyway.
Oh my God, it's truly unbelievable.
Just ask your predecessor, who once upon a time looks on Twitter and saying he's being biased against the Red Sox and the Yankees, and he's like, I'm not calling the game.
That was the all-time. That's all you need to know, right? Joe, all you do is root against my team. Well, I'm in Cabo right now, so that's
not calling that game.
It's kind of hard to do.
Genius. Unbelievable. Genius. Kevin Burkhardt here on the Rich Eisen Show. Thank you for coming on. Have a great dinner on Thursday night.
Thank you, Rich.
And Andrew Whitworth and Jim Nance coming up in hour number 2. Although we're still here on Roku.
You got a score, maybe?
You want to give a score? Oh, what are you trying to get help on the over-under?
For records purposes.
That's true. We are asking everyone for a score.
I'm recording it.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. I literally never make predictions, but I think...
That means you're going to win.
Yeah, I kind of gave you the hint there. All right, I'll say 27-24. How about that?
There you go. Love it.
What does that mean for you?
That's over with a Niners cover.
Yeah, see, I have no concept of the over-under.
As an NFL employee who must walk through the casinos all weekend long and just go straight to the elevator. I'm like the unfrozen caveman lawyer when this time. Like, your terms confuse me. I do not know what you mean by over and under.
What is this
and
parlay?
Line? I thought you said lions for a second. I don't know what you mean.
Listen, not everyone could be Al or Brent and just snake it in. You know, that's
right at the end. Like
that's above my talent level. That's
right at the end.
Right at the end.
He goes over the goal line.
It's unbelievable. It really is. I can't do it.
Musburger, we're seeing him Wednesday. We're seeing him tomorrow.
Awesome.
Brent, we are looking live with him. That is going to be all. And I mean, he was poolside with Namath when Namath gave the guarantee. How does that sound?
Pretty great,
right? Thank you for coming on here, Kevin. You're local, so anytime.
Yeah,
we'd love
thanks
to
for
have
having
you
me,
back.
Rich. It was fun.
It's been too long. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.